So guys, we are firing on now to the strategies for land banking. If you want to land bank, there are a lot of things you should put into consideration. But before I go into the strategies, I will quickly like to explain something for you, which I believe I have done on this live session previously, which is if you're going into land banking in any specific location, bear in mind the end point, the end goal is for appreciation, is for you to get better value than whatever it is you initially invested. Or we will look at the strategies first, then we will look at how to make your land appreciate faster. So the first strategy is for you to first decide what you want to do and for how long you want to be in that. I will explain this last, what you want to do and for how long. So number one, you're going to be looking at the population around the area you want to land bank. Many of the areas today you're seeing as bush around you. If you give those areas 5 years, if you give those areas 10 years, you will be shocked at how far those areas will have transformed. A lot of the areas you're seeing as bush today, if you give those areas 5 or 10 years, you will be shocked at how those areas will have transformed. So many of the areas you're seeing as bush today, I was in Kano last weekend and last 2 or 3 weeks ago, I visited some of the areas where I grew up in. The places we used to go and play that we felt were forests, that it was very scary to go into some 20 years ago. Today, if you see those places, they are very, very big communities. In fact, there is an area, one of my friends, they moved into those areas some years ago. When they got to that area, I think just about 10 years or 15 years ago, I don't think lands were more than 1 million naira, 500,000 or thereabout in that area as at the time they got to that area. When I was asking him some days ago that, what are the prices of lands around this area now? He said those ones around the road are upward of 1 billion naira. In Kano, yes, the ones by the road are upward of 1 billion naira. And that 10 years ago when they got to that area, those lands shouldn't be more than 2 million, 3 million or maximum of 5 million naira or so. So a lot of those areas you're seeing as villages, as bushes today, if you understand how population expands, some of the better land bankers in the world, what they used to do is to just take an helicopter stroll. They just go out, check a population, check where the bustling of the city ends, like where those densely populated areas end. The lands after those areas, that is where they are going to invest in, because they know that within a short period of time, population will definitely expand and people will need those lands. So they go to those places to wait for the population to get there. So the number one thing you're doing, you are studying population. Wherever you have a land at the end of a bulging population, wherever you have a land at the end of a bulging population, an expanding population, a growing population, that land is a good land for land banking. Wherever you have a land at the edge of a bulging population and expanding, a growing population, that land is good for land banking. Number two is planning regulation. The more planned an area is, the more expensive it's going to be. The more properly planned an area is, the more expensive the area is going to be. If you have an area, for example, let me give you an example with FCT since we are in Abuja. Maitama 2, I do always give this example. Maitama 2 currently, 1,000 square meter can be as high as between probably 50 to 70 million naira. But if you take example of its neighboring areas that are not as planned as Maitama 2, that are in the same geographical location as Maitama 2. For example, the Jikakuchi areas. In fact, the places we all know as Maitama 2 today were expansion of the Gurku. So for those that knows Gurku in Nasara, there is Gurku in FCT. There were extension of Gurku, extension of the Jikakuchi, extension of the Shape Those were the areas that were carved out to be Maitama to today. In those areas today, lands are still as low as probably 3 million naira for 1,000 square meter. They are in the same geographical location with Maitama 2. The primary difference between them is the title and the planning. This area has been designed to replicate main Maitama within the next few years, and these areas don't have that kind of planning. So if you have understood the expansion of population, the second thing you're going to look at is the planning. If it has been properly planned, then it's very viable for land banking. Then the third thing you're going to look out for is the zoning regulations. What has this area been zoned to be? Is it zoned to be an industrial area? Is it zoned to be a residential area? Has it been designed to be an entire low density district, or what has it been zoned to be? You're checking out this so you don't go and buy a land that is under government acquisition, or a land that is under government acquisition, or a land that is designed to be a cemetery tomorrow or so. So you want to ascertain that this land is suitable for the purpose you want to use it for. The fourth thing you're looking at is the access. Access. Very, very important. You're looking at the access to that particular area. Today, a lot of the areas you will land bank in or invest, there might be no road in those areas today. It's very, very insignificant. If you see people complaining there is no road, there is no access, they don't understand what the real estate business is. The funny thing is that as highbrow as Maitama is, there are still places if you go to in Maitama today that the infrastructures have not gotten there. They still don't have road. So road or access is not a limitation for you not to invest. All you need to do, check the future planned roads of where those roads are going to be, and strategically invest in those areas. If those areas have the kind of road you want them to have, the money you think you have cannot afford those properties. The places you're going to be looking at today thinking they don't have roads, if roads are in those areas, the 5 million, 10 million, 20 million naira you think you have will not be able to get you 1,000 square meter in those areas. You should be looking at 250 million, 300 million naira to get those lands. You acquire properties when they are less desirable for investment, not when everybody has seen the potential. You acquire when they are less desirable, when everybody will see it and don't want to buy. That is when to buy. The time people will see it and say, who will go and stay in this bush? That is when to buy. That is the time to buy that property. Because if it has realized its potential, then why buying it at that time? Why buy it at that time? The right time to buy it is when everybody else is not seeing the future. And the last thing I want to talk about before I close up on Aisha's question on strategies for investing on land banking is to help you understand forms of appreciation. The end goal is to have a good appreciation to either sell or develop. So the last thing I will be talking about is forms of appreciation, which I believe we have discussed it in one of the episodes, but for the benefit of those that were not here, we will still discuss it now. So